If you ordered a package from halfway across the world today, you'd take for granted the highways, ships, and planes that make it possible. But 2,000 years ago, long before Amazon or airplanes, a web of dusty trails and treacherous passes did the same job, linking empires, swapping treasures, and changing history. This was the Silk Road, a sprawling network that stretched from China's ancient capitals to the markets of Rome, carrying silk, gold, and ideas across deserts, mountains, and seas. For centuries, it was the artery of global trade, a lifeline for kings and nomads alike. How did a single road tie the world together, and what happened when it unraveled? This is the history of the Silk Road. The Silk Road's story begins in China. Around 130 BC, under the Han Dynasty, Emperor Wu, eager to secure his borders against the Xiongnu, fierce nomads of the steppe, sent a diplomat, Zhang Qian, west to forge alliances. Zhang's journey was a disaster. Captured twice, held for a decade, he barely made it back. But he returned with tales of dazzling lands, Persia, India, Central Asia, brimming with horses, gems, and markets, hungry for Chinese silk. Wu saw opportunity. By 114 BC, hand caravans began rolling out, laden with shimmering bolts of silk, a fabric so prized that Romans would later call China Syrica, the land of silk. In return came glass, wool, and gold, traded through middlemen in oasis towns like Dunhuang. This wasn't one road, but a maze of routes, stretching over 6,000 miles. From Xi'an, China's ancient heart, paths split west across the Taklamakan Desert, its name meaning, "Go in and you won't come out," or north over the Tian Shan Mountains, then through Central Asia's steppes to Persia, India, and the Mediterranean. Travel was brutal. Sandstorms buried caravans, bandits ambushed merchants, and icy passes claimed lives. Yet the rewards were worth it. A pound of silk could fetch a fortune in Rome, where elites draped themselves in it, despite laws banning men from wearing it as too decadent. By the 1st century AD, the Silk Road was a thriving lifeline, knitting together the Han, Parthian, and Roman empires. The road hummed for centuries, but it hit a golden age after AD 600 under the Tang Dynasty. China's capitals, Chang'an and Luoyang, became cosmopolitan hubs where Sogdian traders haggled beside Arab merchants, and Buddhist monks mingled with Persian jewelers. Silk flowed west, but so did paper and gunpowder, Chinese inventions that would reshape the world. From the west came spices, incense, and even the plague. The Black Death likely rode the Silk Road to Europe in the 1340s, killing millions. Cities like Samarkand and Baghdad blossomed into trade capitals, their bazaars piled with saffron, jade, and furs. The Tang fell in 907, but the Song and later dynasties kept the roots alive, despite wars and shifting borders. The Silk Road's peak came in the 13th century, under the Mongols. Genghis Khan's empire, stretching from Korea to Eastern Europe by his death in 1227, turned chaos into order. His heirs, like Kublai Khan, enforced the Pax Mongolica, a rare peace that made the road safer than ever. Mongol relay stations, with fresh horses every 25 miles, sped goods and envoys across the continent. Marco Polo, a Venetian merchant, traveled this network in the 1270s, marveling at Kublai's court in Khanbalik, modern Beijing. His book, The Travels, spun tales of silk palaces and paper money, firing Europe's imagination. At its height, the Silk Road moved more than goods. Buddhism spread to China, Islam reached the steppes, and Greek art fused with Indian styles in Gandhara statues. But nothing lasts forever. The Mongol Empire fractured in the 14th century, and with it, The Silk Road's security. Bandits returned, tolls soared, and local wars choked trade. The final blow came from the sea. By the 1400s, Europe's age of exploration was dawning. Portugal's Vasco da Gama sailed around Africa to India in 1498, bypassing the Silk Road's middlemen. Spain's Columbus sought Asia by sailing west, stumbling onto America instead. Ocean routes were faster, cheaper, and safer. Silk and spices now flooded Europe on ships, not camels. The Ottoman Empire, controlling the road's western end after 1453, jacked up taxes, strangling what remained. By the 1500s, the Silk Road was a shadow, its caravans replaced by galleons. The end wasn't sudden. Trade trickled on in pockets, but the Silk Road's glory faded. Oasis towns like Palmyra crumbled into sand, their ruins whispering of lost wealth. Yet its legacy endures. The compass, born in China, reached Europe via these routes, guiding the age of sail. Religions and cultures blended along its paths, leaving mosques in Xi'an and Buddhist caves in Dunhuang. Even today, China's Belt and Road Initiative, a $1 trillion plan to revive ancient trade links, nods to the Silk Road's past, aiming to reconnect Asia, Africa, and Europe with rails and ports. The Silk Road wasn't just a trade route. It was a bridge between worlds, a thread stitching east to west. Its caravans carried more than silk. They bore dreams, faiths, and the seeds of modernity, all bought with sweat and peril. From Zhang Qian's dusty trek to Marco Polo's wide-eyed wonder, it's a story of humanity's urge to reach beyond the horizon, a tale as alive now as it was under a desert moon 2,000 years ago.